Always nice to have a full house. On this Thursday, February 15th, 2024, 7 p.m., called the, Christie, if you would call the meeting to order.
Absolutely. Trustee Bancole?
Here.
Trustee Prigi?
Here.
Trustee Husani?
Here.
Trustee Porter?
Here.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Here.
And Trustee Gutierrez is out today.
She's called in sick.
Yes.
Okay, if you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have motion and a second. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Thank you.
Presentations, do we have anything this evening? No presentations. Town hall session. Gentleman that signed in is not with us. Okay, moving on. Village President's report.
Thank you.
Pardon me. Was it yesterday or Tuesday? I don't know. I provided the State of the Village report. Took me all of 25 minutes, and I'd like to say part of my focus was on Dan Burnham, or Daniel Burnham. Now, why would I do that? I would do that, and let me just repeat that. Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood, and probably themselves will not be realized. Well, Dan Burnham was before we had before women had the right to vote. So today we'll include that men and women. But the thing about Dan Burnham was about building community, and we are at a point in Hanover Park where about 10 years down the road, some of our bonds for the police department will be sold, and we should start considering developing our public works building into one. We've got it spread out over the place. When we built Public Works, it was prior to taking on the fire department, which yours truly shut down and brought into a municipal department. My claim to fame, shutting down the taxing body. Can you believe that? So with that, we got to look to the future, and this board will think outside the box, moving ahead and thinking into the future. Really proud of that. Part of my presentation was around rail safety and working together in harmony. There's room at the table in Hanover Park for anyone and everyone, regardless of where you come from or what you stand for. We want to be heard. I was real proud of that. I feel strongly about that. And the rail safety component, I showed a video of a train that left Hanover Park. And it was, I just got off of the engine because it was a brand new engine, state-of-the-art, what do you call it, environmentally current. And I took a little video of that, and part of the investment that Representative Mussman helped us with, they have a safe crossing with the bells and the whistles, everything goes with it. So as the train left the station, people assembled, and as the last car went by, the bell was still ringing and people crossed the tracks. Now, that is, you've got to look both ways. Stop, watch, and listen component that we grew up with. But people just cross the tracks and the dinger is still dinging in my good friend Karen Darch, mayor in Barrington, Barrington's suffering right now, having lost a high school student who didn't look both ways and went across the rails, not looking in both directions, and lost their life. So we've got to find a way to really let everyone know how important rail safety is in keeping our communities together. It's very hurtful. We lost a young man some time ago, and it was for a different reason. He just jumped in front of the engine. But losing a young person in your community is heartfelt. So moving on, Thornton's had their ribbon cutting today. Was that today? It was a long day. So we were out at Thornton's and wish them all well. And was that today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh man. So I had my State of the Village at 9, ribbon cutting at 10, and a water meeting in Elmhurst at 11. It was a busy morning. Hanover Township had a ribbon cutting. Their new emergency awareness station, or their structure for emergency support to Hanover Park and other communities. They're doing a fine job. #1 township in the state, led by Brian McGuire, good friend. Schuber and I had an excellent visit to Thermo Fisher. They were really pleased that we cared enough to come by and take a look at what they're doing, and offered up engineering opportunities. If I know somebody, I know a few high school, got to be 18 to work in the engineering component. Fire station is close to adding the doors. Are the doors on yet? Not quite. But I took a tour with the chief of the new fire station, and they're doing excellent work out there. And got a lot of heat generators blowing hot air through the building, working diligently to move that along. This is the month that HR submits to hire the vets with the Department of Labor. We'll be entering our 5th year, is that correct? Very proud of that. Hiring veterans, you bring in people that have skills, you bring in people that are disciplined, like to show up to work on time, understand working as a team. So I'm very proud of the fact that we have been recognized by the Department of Labor for hiring vets. Kids at Hope is April 27th, and looking forward to that. The what do you call it? Boys and Girls Club is going to be an addition, working with us in the community, and so that's nice to see that happening to help bring youth together, keep them off the streets, whatever, and then with the teen center. And were you able to put that up? There it is. This is a poster that was put together at Fox School by Miss Atwood's class. They cut it up into squares, and the youth drew into that, and it really turned out very nice. And when I saw it at the school, when I read there Monday, I said, "Oh, can I steal that for my presentation yesterday?" So I went and took it, and I had it framed, and had it sitting here on the easel, and thanks to staff for helping me find an easel. I don't know where we found it, but they're few and far between in the village. So that was really marvelous. It's back at the school. I understand the Park District's interested in displaying it also. So that's been a busy week or so. And the State of the Village was, I think I did that in record time, because I had a little better structure this year, and staff helped quite a bit. So always appreciate that. Thank you to our staff for their diligence and their support. With that, I'll move to approve by unanimous votes item on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second.
And those are items 7A1 through 7A8.
That is correct.
Trustee
Chris-
Usani?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Very good. 7A9, move to pass an ordinance authorizing the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, to borrow funds from the Public Water Supply Loan Program through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions by board members? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
And Trustee Usani?
Yes.
Thank you. 7A10, motion to pass an ordinance authorizing the third amendment to the FY 2024 budget of the Village of Hanover Park. A two-thirds vote of the corporate authorities is required.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Usani?
Yes.
And Mayor Craig?
Thank you. Yes. All righty. 7A11, move to approve warrant 2/15/2024 in the amount of $920,669.53.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Usani?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. Very good. 7A12, move to approve warrant paid in advance 1/27/2024 through 02/09/2024 in the amount of $427,806.26.
So moved. Second.
The motion is second. Any questions on the warrant? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Usani?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
7A13, move to approve December 2023 P cards in the amount of $32,537.84.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions on the warrant? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Usani?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Thank you. Village Managers Report. Julianne? Okay. You got a couple items there, maybe you want to speak to.
Choose one.
Yes.
You read them, that's fine. Well, what is the monthly treasurer's report for January 2024? Just the first month of the year, so if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. And then the second, though, is the fourth quarter financial report. This is for the end of the year, except for, as you saw in the notes, there is outstanding revenue, primarily sales taxes that still need to be reported, received and reported, as well as some outstanding expenditures, not many. So while it's a clearer picture, it's not the full picture of, but we're happy to answer any questions. The audit will give us the full review of the entire year. Remy, what would you like to add?
The final number will be presented next report, summary.
Any questions for Remy?
Yeah, just one. So the decrease that we saw in motor fuel tax, was that due to Shell being rebuilt? Or why did we see a decrease there?
The decrease in, it's the decrease because if you're talking about the revenue, we never have a decrease in revenue. It's exceeding the, what we budgeted for 2023. The difference is because there's an extra money that we got from the grant in previous year. We actually used that to, for some, for the street resurfacing, so our expenditures is higher than the revenue. So we're actually using some of the fund balance to pay for that. But if you're talking about revenue, for the 2023, we did exceed the revenue, what we budgeted.
Okay,
But isn't
so
that
it's
the
not
three
what it
year-
states here? This is a decrease of 696,126,
We got the grant.
the letter, the.
Right, that's a comparison from 2022 to 2023.
Okay,
So we never received it, the last grant that we received is in 2022, so there's nothing grant in 2023, that's why there's a decrease.
We had a 3-year grant from, all communities did,
Mhm.
that we received revenue for 3 years straight. And then last year was the first year that had ended and we were without that revenue.
Right.
Without the grant?
Yeah,
Okay,
I believe it was called a grant. It was grant
The-
revenue, it was.
The Illinois Build Grant,
okay,
yes.
okay, thank you.
But the actual allotment, we did receive it, we exceeded the budgeted amount.
Okay, thank you. And then
From
one
other sources.
additional question. The federal restricted, that, that says that we got from the DOJ.
And
Explain the federal restricted.
So that just kind of fall under our police department?
Yeah, federal restricted would be if we assist the federal government in an enforcement action case, we would get a percentage of, if they make a seizure, we would get a percentage of that. With federal cases, we don't, it's not a huge amount generally in the past because there just aren't that many cases that we assist with, and it can be years in between, when those funds come in. So it tends to be smaller amounts.
Okay, so that's just from when we assisted with a case?
Correct.
Under federal jurisdiction?
Exactly.
Okay,
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Very good, good, good.
Yeah, I had a question in that same segment on the MWRD. I saw that it's a decrease of $865,000, and that's due to the grants, the Build Illinois grant not being received. When do we anticipate receiving the rest of that funding?
What page are you looking at?
Page 159.
Same page that we were just on with Trustee Bancola.
Right, the built-in, this is, what you're seeing in here is a comparison from
8B.
2022 to 2023. It's a decrease from 2023 because we received all the grant that we need for the building of the sports complex in 2022. So we don't have any more grant that we're waiting for in 2023. So in comparison for 2022 and 2023, 2022 is higher compared to the 2023.
But it
because
says
of
we
the
received
grant.
57% of the budgeted amount, so if we received it all in 2022, was it budgeted in 2023?
We budgeted $150,000 of the grant, but we never received it, so that's why it's just a 57%. Because all the revenues that we got from MWRD is just a transfer to general fund, and then the remaining grant of $150,000. Because our grant is $1,045,000 for the sports complex. We only got like 800-something thousand, so we're still waiting for 150.
So you budgeted that for 2023, but you still haven't received it
Yes.
for 2023. So this is related to the latest phase of the project, and maybe John can explain it in more detail. That was the project that we budgeted for, and then they didn't have the
Yeah.
PPs.
So the contractor out at, that did the work out at the ball fields, part of the grant agreement said we had to meet certain BEP goals, minority businesses, use that type of contractors. They did not meet what was established as part of the grant, and so
Who is they?
the contractor we hired.
Okay.
And so they didn't meet the goals that were established in that, so therefore we did not receive 100% of the grant, and that decrease in what we received was passed along to the contractor.
So we didn't
They
get that.
absorbed that because we didn't get the money that we were supposed to get as part of the grant.
And then how are we vetting the contractors to make sure that they're meeting those requirements? I mean,
Well,
how is
they
that
were-
working?
They said that they would meet it and they outlined it, but they lost a sub, which was
Yeah.
going, one of the subs was gonna meet a percentage of that.
Yeah, there were some things during construction, they didn't use a certain sub. There were some changes in construction, they didn't haul off as much material as they were anticipating, and therefore they didn't use as many trucking companies. So there was some stuff like that that went on, and they didn't, then in the end, unintentionally didn't meet those goals. And when we sat down with the state and went over those and sat down with the contractor, we didn't get paid a certain amount, and then that loss, we passed along to the contractor.
Okay, so just for clarification here, then, it says that the remaining Build Illinois grant not being received. So are we still anticipating receiving any
No.
Build Illinois grants, or that's been satisfied?
Yes, because we did pay the contractor. Have you closed that contract out
Yeah.
yet? Yes. So,
Okay.
the
Good.
project, the work was completed, the project was completed, and the grant agreement has been closed out.
Okay, and did we have to pick up that cost
No,
for what was not,
no, we paid the contractor that much less.
but the work was completed?
The work was completed.
Okay.
Very good.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, just on that. So how frequently does that occur where we hire a company to do work? They're supposed to meet state guidelines with working with minority businesses and then they can't meet it? Like how often does that occur?
Typically, anytime where that would happen, there's a requirement from another agency that we're getting, in this case, the grant money from, that will tell us what our requirements are. And for example, the state, it's somewhat of a moving target as to what the percentages are. So it's really only if we are accepting grant money that have those requirements as part of it.
This is the first
Oh.
I've seen here where that's happened, where we have not met what we were required to do to get the full grant that we had expected.
Like the first time you've seen that since you've been with the village?
Correct.
So the first time,
Yep.
like over a decade? Okay. And then thank you. And then my second question is, how will us not meeting the state's requirements impact our grants moving forward?
There's no impact.
There's no impact?
No.
Well, the next grant that comes along, they'll have their requirements for them. Those requirements go into the bid documents. When we open bids for that project, the bidders have to commit, the low bidder, all of the bidders, but the low bidder that we select has to meet those requirements. And then we do grant reporting quarterly, I believe, is typical. And so they have to report out to us, we report out to the state or the county or whoever we're receiving the grant from.
Okay. So I don't know what the percentage was for this specific contract, but if they weren't able to meet the requirements, I'm assuming that it was the minimum amount. And so what steps can we take to protect ourselves so that we are in line with state regulations, that we don't get dinged the next time we want to pursue a grant? Like, is there a way where if we're pursuing a grant and you have to work with 10% of minority-owned businesses, can we then say, well, we would prefer if you worked with 20 or 25%, so that if during the construction project or what have you, things change, we still don't have any issues with meeting the state requirement? Is that something, I hope that makes sense.
It does. So like in this case, it was 25%.
Okay,
And there was, I would make the case that there was an extenuating circumstance. They had a contractor sort of evaporate on them. They were a big part of that number of what they were looking for. We were fully in compliance, had anticipated being fully in compliance. When this contractor sort of disappeared on them, The challenge is that the job was just basically going to stop and probably stop for the remainder of the year. They completed the work. Maybe the general contractor maybe didn't fully understand the implications of saying, well, we're getting the work done and we're just going to, make it a little harder on ourselves to get this done, but we're going to keep the project on time and on budget because they thought that that was ultimately the goal. And so they had this extenuating circumstance. They kind of came to us and said, look, we did a great job. And we kind of had to go, yeah, but you don't understand. This is more complicated than that. I don't think there is a mechanism for exactly what you're asking for, except that it is endemic upon us as the staff and the grant administrators to do everything we can to make sure that we are complying with the state law and with the grant agreements that we've agreed to. And I don't know how we would put some firewall in place to stop this or another requirement in a grant agreement from occurring or being a violation. In this
Okay.
case, the state worked with us and said, okay, you met X requirement, so this little amount off the top is what we're going to take out of the grant.
Okay.
Did we come across this contractor through the bidding process?
Yeah, we did. And it wasn't the general contractor, it was a subcontractor underneath the
Yeah, I
general
understand it
contractor.
was a subcontractor that defaulted, but
Right.
the general contractor, he came through our normal bidding process?
Yes, and historically has been, we've
And so
used
we
them
do have
once
history
before.
with this
I think we've
contractor.
used them one time before
Yeah.
and had a great experience, so we were
And we
very
had
pleased when we got those
bidders on
bids.
that property- On that project. We had a good turnout.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think having the contractor, the general contractor, pay the difference that we
Yeah.
lost, will kind of fix it down the road. When they get a sub, they're going to want a sub that can perform. So that's my take on the whole thing. When, you kind of ask that question. So that's like a fine to them, right? Okay, village clerk's report. Christie, do you have a report today?
Very short, since I was on vacation this last week, which was wonderful. But I just wanted to say thank you to the police department for all your hard work keeping our businesses compliant with our village ordinances, especially for liquor, tobacco, and gaming. We had a lovely long hearing today, so it was great. So I appreciate that. Thank you, John, for attending that as well, and Bernie for all your hard work preparing it. That is all.
Very good. I'm admiring your suntan and jealous.
Very nice.
Beach time. Let me see, Corporation Council report.
Thank you, Christie, and I have no report.
Thank you. Trustee reports. Trustee Benko.
Thank you, Mayor. So earlier this week, I was able to attend a workshop that was put on by the Illinois Smart City and Region Association. It's a nonprofit that works to essentially help municipalities become more smart when thinking about technology and just trying to be forward-thinking. And so they had a workshop on cybersecurity and protecting yourself. And I thought that it was quite timely, given the cybersecurity issues that Lurie Children's Hospital is currently experiencing. And so I just wanted to make sure that my fellow board members were aware of this organization. It's not necessarily a new organization, but they have newer leadership. The executive director is a man by the name of Joe Gallo. He used to be the mayor of Rolling Meadows, and I think he's really trying hard to breathe new life into the organization. So they have a lot of resources for municipalities, so just wanted to flag that. The second thing is that 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that Environmental Committee was looking for members. We currently only have 2 members, and thankfully, one of our residents was actually listening to the YouTube broadcast and said, oh, I'd love to join. And so, two things. One, I'm ecstatic that we will hopefully be voting on a environmental committee member appointment soon. But two, I wanted to remind my fellow board members that our residents are listening. And so your reports matter, and the updates and all the really great information that we share really matter.
I've received 4.
Four.
4, I've heard from 4 people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Last thing I wanted to ask about was messaging that the village put out. So I know that, I think it was last month, we notified our residents on the DuPage County side that water service might be impacted by CHAWA. I received a few questions from due to like a pipe break. I don't know if you guys remember that. So
Well, we put out a general notice,
Mhm.
but it was for village-wide. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah, not
Yeah.
just on DuPage,
Oh, okay. I thought it said DuPage.
if that's
but it-
what you're referring to.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
so,
village-wide.
yeah, that is what I'm referring to. So I got a couple resident questions, just because I don't think the notice that we put out had any dates on it, so they didn't know if this issue had resolved, if it was an ongoing issue, if they have had any changes in their water service, or if we could provide any updates there.
It has not been resolved yet.
Okay.
It affects all of the Jawa communities, and it has not been scheduled to be fixed yet.
Okay,
It's a very large pipe that they believe it's leaking, but they don't know the exact location of the leak.
Mhm.
So they're trying to time it while they don't want to, they want to get through winter, but they don't want to wait as long as when people are using more water in the summer. So somewhere in the spring, we will get back to the public and let them know.
okay,
We mostly put that out because one of the other communities put out some information, and we didn't want, even though all of the details weren't available yet or decisions had been made on timing, we didn't want to have no information out to our community.
okay, makes sense. So it's still just an ongoing matter.
It's an ongoing.
Okay, thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And trustee Priggy?
The Troop 398 is trying to rebuild, and they will be at the Kids at Hope. And so if anybody has any boys or girls that would like to join the Scouts, come see them at the Kids at Hope.
April 27th
Yep,
at 10 a.m.
yep.
And the Scouts will again join with the veterans and do the
Absolutely.
flag ceremony. All right, trustee Husani.
Mayor, thank you for sharing today your experience with Metro and how people are crossing without looking at both sides. This is my first time experience. Wednesday, I was taking my daughter to Loyola College. She wanted to see how the commute works and everything else for the first date. On Wednesday, I took her around. And when I got back here in Harrow Park, and the train was still clearing, the bells are still going off, that the train is clearing. We can't see on the other side if there is a train oncoming, and people are rushing to cross that, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, why? Nobody have that fear of something could happen. And I was talking to my daughter, saying, you shouldn't be doing these kind of things and stuff like that. But if there is any awareness that we're doing, or you're making any initiative, I would love to be part of that. If we are taking a sign and just posting there and standing there at 5 o'clock or rush time or in the morning, I would love to do that. Let me know if there's any initiative from your side, because this is a first-hand experience and it's very risky. And if you're saying somebody recently killed because of that, if we could save one life, I would be all for it to volunteer my time.
Yep, thank you. As you are probably aware, Hanover Park was recognized by Canadian National, not Canadian Pacific, the other one. But they recognize us as being a safe community, acknowledged for the year past. Our work and investment in that safe crossing can make a difference if people can understand if the bell's ringing, it's not time to run across the track. So, no good deed goes unpunished, but we haven't lost anybody. But certainly, our friends in Barrington have, and they have, now the school has placed somebody to stand out there to do the looking in both directions. I still don't know how they're gonna resolve it, but it really cut to the quick with my friends in Barrington, so.
And you were on the board of Metra, right? Probably these conversations happen frequently there as to how.
It's, it's ongoing concern, the number of individuals that get hit by a train. And Saturday, I'm a member of, volunteer member of the DuPage Rail Safety Council, which is recognized not only across our country, but overseas. So I'll be on that, and I shared the video. I didn't share the video here, but the video is pretty telling. And the story in Barrington, of course, Mayor Darch is on that council with me, because we've been working on rail safety for some time, and not everybody gets it.
Just wanted to put it out there.
I just hate losing anybody. Sorry, your time.
No, thank you. That's my report.
Yeah. How honorable of you to take your daughter down on the train and.
Oh, that has become a tradition because I took my son first time, so I'm like, hey, my oldest one can take her, but no, it's like, Dad, you took him. You're not taking me. So now the third one is ready next year, so I guess I'm going another time.
You better take care of your daughter, that's all I know.
It becomes tradition at home now.
Okay, Trustee Porter.
Thank you. And start off by saying that the State of the Village presentation was, I think, very well done, and highlighted all of the fine work that has happened in the past, but also looking forward, some of the things that are being planned. And I think for our residents and community participants who tuned in and came in to participate in that, I think they walked away with a very positive image about what we're trying to accomplish here in Hanover Park. Based on our history and what we've done, I think most importantly, in everyone's mind is holding the line on taxes. But in some cases, austerity, when you hold the line on taxes and programs that are based on that type of austerity, means that you lose critical programming and services. And I think that we've have done a fine job of holding on to critical programming and services while holding the line on property taxes. And that, I think, is something that you and the staff and my colleagues on the board should all be commended for. It's not an easy thing to do because generally it's a choice. And many communities forego the raising the limits or raising the property taxes because they have these grand plans, as Mr. Burns would say. They have these grand plans, then they make the people pay for it. and that's not always the most comfortable or most enviable position to be in. So we've been able to walk that narrow path between holding the line on expenses and taxes, but also providing valued services and programs. So congratulations to Juliana, for your staff, all the hard work that you guys put in to make that happen. We just want to let you know how much we, as not only board members, but as residents of Hanover Park, how we appreciate that effort that you make. So thank you. I know that was a lot of hard work to do that. I don't know how long we can continue that streak, but we'll keep taking our swings when we get up to the plate, and we'll see what happens. A couple other things. I am the chairperson for the Northwest Mayors Conference Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. and we meet once a month. And this week we met, and we had an excellent presentation from CMAP, who presented a program called STAR, which is the Safe Travel for All roadways, all safe travel for all roadmap. And it was a very informative and interesting presentation that covered a number of things that are happening. I have a PowerPoint presentation that they sent me that if anyone is interested, I can forward it to them. I just don't like to just throw things out and send them to you unless someone is specifically requested.
If you give it to Juliana, she can put it in the update.
Okay, I will forward it to you, and then you can
Or
just.
or we can put it in the portal and then everyone can see it as well.
Okay, I'll do that. A couple of things that they mentioned, and I won't go through the whole presentation. I know that we've had some discussions, and we are looking at putting in traffic cameras, an additional camera, red light camera at the intersection of Barrington and Irving Park Roads. But they brought up another instrument and tool that's been used in many communities. I know it's been used pretty successfully in Hanover Park. And I said, I don't remember us ever having any discussion on that, and that's speed cameras. And they've shown that there's data out there that suggests even minimal increases in the rate of travel with speed, sometimes as much as 3 to 5 miles, has significant impact on both the occurrence of crashes and also the mortality rate that is associated with those crashes. And that speed cameras often has been proven to be a very effective detriment and effective in reducing the rates of travel through town. There was a report that said that there's a significant difference in roadways that have 20-mile-an-hour limits as opposed to roadways that have 30-mile-an-hour limits, and the mortality rates that are associated with crashes that occur between people who are within those margins. And so I know that we have a number of streets in Hanover Park that are at 20 miles an hour and is yeah, that's my daughter. And so I know that there are a number of streets in Hanover Park that have 20 mile an hour. And as frustrated as I used to get with the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits and you know, forced to obey them, I now have a better understanding of what it means to the overall safety of our community when we have the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits throughout town. And like I said, my appreciation for that has grown. They mentioned things that contribute to fatality rates, such as the higher prevalence of SUVs with the higher bumpers, and how that contributes to more damaging crashes, more fatalities, or more detrimental injuries or more serious injuries when you're dealing with SUVs versus regular cars because of the raised bumpers that are there. And that some towns have even gone so far as to enact, I know we don't have a sticker for our vehicles, and I'm not advocating that at all, but there are towns that, you know, have weight, different types of revenues or taxes on the weight of vehicles that travel over the road. So it was just interesting to see what a lot of communities are doing. Some, you know, like I said, nothing that I would advocate for our town, but certainly some that I think bear us talking about and having taken a note for. The way that some towns are constructing their bicycle lanes, some with safety barriers, so that when you ride in the bicycle lane, there's actually a concrete barrier that separates the cyclists from the motor traffic to ensure their safety. And I think with some of the things that are going on in Springfield and the Supreme Court ruling about what actually bicyclists are in terms of the law, and with accidents, are they considered the same as a motor vehicle? Are bicyclists treated differently? And I know there was a case that just went through the Supreme Court because of a cyclist that was killed while riding on the roadway and wanting to make that safe. The other things that they mentioned in this report was this connectivity between the different communities. The roadways from the far northern suburbs, from Winnetka all the way down through some of the far south to the great trails down in DuPage County, and how there's an effort to increase the connectivity of all of the bike paths, especially those that are controlled by the different county forest reserves, and then that run through town. And I know we're serviced by Mallard Lake, which is a beautiful piece of property. And I, talked with the Commissioner Daniel Hebron about that, and I know that they're doing a lot of things to make that accessible and a more attractive venue for our residents to visit and to utilize. And I'd like to see us make a more concerted effort to publicize Mallard Lake and the amenities that are available there. I think it's a gem here in Hanover Park. It effectively divides our community into two towns, but I think that I'd like to see us do a more effective job of communicating just what Mallard Lake has to offer, particularly as we come into the spring and summer. There are wonderful bike paths, fishing, camping, all type of things are available, day camping, and you can't do overnight, but just a lot of great things happening over there. So anyway, the meeting was very successful, very informative, and I really appreciated the information that was put forth by CMAP. And I will forward that to Juliana, and if any of the board members would like a copy of that presentation, just send me a text, and I will make sure that you get it. And finally, I seem to be doing a lot with the Northwest Mayors Conference. We had a legislative conference, which was attended by several of our legislators, Michelle Musselman, Karina Vila, are two that I can remember offhand. I think there are two other state senators that were on board. And some of the issues that came up that they're going to be talking about, because next week is legislative days in Springfield, where our local community leaders, our mayors and board members, village managers, and so forth, go to Springfield and they meet with the legislators. Generally, there's a meeting with the governor. They have those meetings, and you get a chance to talk face-to-face with your local leaders in Springfield. And the items that they're going to really be emphasizing when they go there will be the LGDF. There's a constant push to continue to increase that level of contribution that we get. There was a discussion that kind of refuted the notion that the increased revenue that we're getting from cannabis sales and from gaming taxes is sufficient to replace the lost revenue from the LGDF. That was brought up, and I think it was, again, successfully refuted, that that still leaves a tremendous hole in the budget, even when you consider those amounts that we get from gaming and from the
Yeah, it's a smaller percentage.
the cannabis, yes, much smaller percentage that we get from that. Pensions were an item that came up, and so they're going to continue to talk about the contribution levels and what the percentages are, what the timetables are for contributing to our pension programs. they will be talking about that. And I think one of the other ones that they mentioned was that they're still looking at refining some of the fine-tuning the Safety Act, which has had a tremendous, I think, positive impact for the most part. But like any other large piece of legislation, there's always some fine-tuning that can take place to make it more amenable to all of the communities that have to abide by that. So those are some of the things that they will be discussing. Finally, just want to mention that here on the 24th, we will be having our Black History Month program. Again, Reverend Otis Moss will be our speaker, and we're very excited about that program that we're going to have here, and it's from 12 to 3. So we encourage you to invite someone and bring about 10 to 15 of your best friends with you when you come. That would be greatly appreciated. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And yeah, for some reason, my brain is not wrapped around the 24th. For some reason, I thought it was Hoffman Estates. But you're going to be providing a program in Hoffman Estates?
Let me clear the air there. We're going to have our program with our sister cities hosts from 12 to 3. Hoffman Estates has asked me to speak at a program at their facility. I told them that, you know, I'm committed to the Hanover Park program. They said, well, when is yours over? We'll schedule ours after that one's over so you can come and make a presentation for us at Hoffman Estates. So the Hoffman Estates program is at 4:30. And I will be leaving here going to Hoffman Estates, and I'll be the speaker for their program at Hoffman Estates at 4:30.
Well,
So you weren't wrong. You were right. There is a Hoffman Estates thing, but when I'm here on the Village, I'm promoting the Village program.
Of course.
That's my first
I
priority.
do appreciate that, and I reserve the right to be confused.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Trustee Porter. Great summary of your appointments on the legislative and the bicycling path. I know there's a lot of passion on the bicycling, so. And I think we have a grant to do something with the bicycle path from the train station down south. Is that correct? That's still alive and well. All right. Trustee Kunkel?
Yes, I had the veterans meeting day after we had our first meeting of the month, and we discussed the brick problem that we're having. The bricks that we have right now in the plaza no longer are made. There's none that TJ has looked at other vendors for the bricks. We have none, but we're still looking. Other than that, the Space Force we're gonna put up on top of the roof. And
What was that?
I was waiting for somebody to say that. Yeah.
That one like,
I'm real quick with it, sorry. No, we're talking about putting Space Force up, but not up on the roof. I'm just kidding. We're gonna wait.
you thought we weren't listening. That was a test, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, when did you lose control?
The Lions Club is having a breakfast with the bunny on March 23rd. So anybody that has little kids that would like to come out to there, they're having an Easter egg hunt at the Park District. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning on that Saturday. Let's see, what else? I attended a COVID panel, international panel on the COVID variant that's going around. Right now, prevalent in the U.S. is JN1. We like to give fancy names here in the U.S. But really, what you have to wonder about is the new variant that China just recently turned loose, which is GX-P2V. It has a 100% kill rate within a week. We're still helping fund that, and they're still mutating COVID in Wuhan. Other than that, just want to give you a heads up on that. We can't do anything here, but I just want to make everybody aware. And that's it for my report.
Well, thank you, John. And no executive session this evening. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you all for a wonderful evening.
No, I'm saying,
So one,